Please excuse the mess. The SonarFeed appears to be having a few difficulties. Alrighty, you guys know you threw me off here. You said you had the host of Seattle Soccer Talk, so I had this great intro prepared for Dick Fane. I had a decent one prepared for
Hang on, I got his
Dash,
number. We can get a professional down here.
but I'll see what I can do. Coming to you live from the Berliner Pub in beautiful downtown Renton. This is the SonarFeed. 3 guys talking soccer. They're hacks, but they brought a pro. Let's go.
That's the best he can do? Yeah. Didn't he say that's the best I'm going to do?
Yeah, that's he thought all day on that, too. You need a little more time on a crapper, man.
All right, here we go. We are live. You can scoot back just a hair for me. That'd be awesome. There you go. Perfect right there.
I look like Wayne and Garth are going to walk in at any moment.
Pretty much. We're gonna have the vacuum, the haircut vacuum place.
I didn't know I was going to be on TV tonight.
I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, I got the small beer.
Well, you're just like the rest of us then.
So we're here live on SonarFeed, episode number 98. Surprisingly enough, we've actually done this 98 times.
97 before you got around to, let's call gas. Well, Jesus, we're out of gas. Let's get him out and see if he
as you saw the way it worked earlier, it takes us about an hour and a half to prep this show.
I'll be on episode 196 will be my return visit. That'll be good.
We would love to have you back before that.
Oh, no.
Well, we're trying to replace this guy if you got nothing to do on Monday night.
That would be good. That would be really hard to replace me.
Good.
It would be.
Not really. So, my name is Aaron Riley, a.k.a. Sonar Riley. To my left, your right.
I am Lee Rail, at Lee Rail.
Across from me.
God, that's a great porn name.
Hugo Garcia.
Wow. Am I right?
That is, actually. I never thought about it, but it fits. It fits, too. This is the guy for it. Whoa. We'll get, that's after show. We'll talk porn later.
So, the non-porn guy named at Me Vida Seattle, Hugo Garcia, excited to be here.
And across from us, we have the esteemed, the legend,
the one and only.
All of those. All of those.
Mike Gasman, the Gasman.
Hi, guys. Thanks. Larry, Mo, and Curly. Great to be here, man. This is fun. This is really cool. I love this culture around soccer. The amount of the amount of podcasts that are being done.
We're freaking huge.
You guys are big time, man. There's a band here and then the whole thing. Yeah. It's fun. It's fun to get out, and Hugo and I met. It was just you, or was there somebody else with you?
It was me,
and then you FaceTime me when I was in North Carolina in my hotel room.
Yeah, that's right. That makes it sound pathetic.
Did they FaceTime me?
No. You were in the
Philippines.
Time.
I was in the Philippines.
And we were at
we wanted him to show up.
It was a quarterfinal against Portland, right?
Oh, no, Portland.
Yeah.
Portland.
And then Chicago's coming in 8 days?
Wednesday. Yeah.
That's. I'll probably see you again then.
Hoping that
we'll be there.
I'll be in the beer garden.
Will you?
Come to the beer garden, I'll be there.
That's where we met. That's where we met in the beer garden.
Yeah, we met in the beer garden.
That's right.
Married this afternoon in a simple ceremony right over at the Renton City Hall.
Well, he said he took somebody home this weekend. I didn't know who it was, though.
Yeah. Could have been anybody. Could have been anybody.
Well, shoot, that's great.
Well, you are about his right size and height, so.
Yeah. What's that mean?
That's what he likes.
What does that mean, Lee Rail?
Yeah, Lee Rail.
So tonight we're gonna talk a little bit about your book, obviously.
Sure, whatever you want to talk about, guys.
It is.
But we're gonna talk a little bit about the last week and a half of we'll call it disaster football, right? The time to panic hashtag.
We're not
start
panicking.
Whoa! Don't bring out the panic button yet. It's only
no. See, but there's irony there because Kansas City, like 3 or 4 weeks ago, started tagging us with the time to panic hashtag because they started winning again. So that's where I'm being sarcastic.
Well, in all fairness, they are in the head.
They are 1 point ahead.
1 point ahead in the supporter shield race.
But we also have 2 games in hand.
We do.
You know what, though? Remember last year, hey, we got games in hand. I'm not sure I'm buying the games in hand philosophy.
Yeah, because we almost shit all of those out between September and October.
Yeah, it's interesting. Kansas City really has been a house of fire of late.
They have.
And boy, you look at the World Cup break and how the Sounders have played since then, and you can go half full or half empty, and I'm normally a half full guy. Well, got a good win at D.C.
Yeah.
Not a horrible loss at Vancouver. Not a horrible loss at San Jose, frankly.
No.
Nice win over Portland. Always fun to kick their ass.
Twice.
Well, I'm talking just MLS. But yeah, nothing wrong with beating them twice in a week. That was fun. And then a terrible loss to LA. The loss to LA where you go. So if you want to go half full, it's like really. The LA thing is the only one that's completely
You're right. Now that you
inexplicable.
mentioned it,
But the LA,
we always remember the losses more than the victories, because I forgot we had a lot more wins than I thought about
Right.
since we got back. So
well,
you're
we
right.
had that great Pineda to Chad Barrett header for the DC win.
Oh, right, right.
Other than that, we didn't look great.
Right.
So just bringing it back down to earth a little bit. Again, being somewhat of a realist, maybe.
Except 1-0 on the road, generally you're going to go, it doesn't really matter how you look, right? I mean,
Yeah, you're right.
you win
Absolutely.
on the road.
But it's one of those things, I think, because our whole show is we're three guys who like to go out on Monday night, have a drink with our friends,
Just
talk soccer.
Just
Yeah.
one.
And this
one
differentiates you from every other guy in the world. How? Every guy I know likes to leave the house on Monday night.
Because we have
Well,
a
it's
show.
usually because the Bachelor's on.
What do you do on Tuesday night?
Well, I
Go out with your friends?
I listen to your show on Tuesday night.
That's right.
Oh, there you go. Good. That's good. You're the one.
But yeah, the one.
If you'd stop, I could quit.
Okay, I won't listen tomorrow.
Thanks. That's perfect.
Yeah,
I'll
you're
retire.
welcome. Yeah, okay.
I'll retire.
But you look at it over the whole picture of it, and say the offense has been a little bit suspect on finishing, maybe on the midfield having some issues, and driving through the final to get that last ditch effort, right?
Yeah, we were talking about that.
We were, totally.
People. It seems like whenever there's a loss, people immediately want to blame the defense, and there's times when you need to. But this team is clearly built around offense. That's where the money is. That's where and it's been exciting to me. I mean, I like it. I enjoy watching. No, we're talking about offense. We'll be talking about Chad later. If you want to get on the podcast, go start your own show. And then you can be a big star like these guys.
Yeah. Yes, that's our.
No, I mean, look, obviously
That's
with him not there, that's been a big key. But
is.
offensively, this team's built, and so the fact that they're losing right now doesn't bother me. The fact that they're not scoring scares the hell out of me. Like, what's
Exactly.
happened?
Yeah.
What's happened? Why aren't they scoring right now?
Yeah, that's the bigger question.
It sounds odd. I'd almost rather they lose 3-2 than 1-0. I'd be like, hey, I want to see
Exactly.
the offense working here because that's what I want to see come
Right,
back.
and the last two games, specifically the LA and the San Jose game, the midfield has been kind of shut down a little bit.
Yeah,
We've
right.
had a lot of sloppy
Right.
play, not a lot of good finishes, and you look at like an Alonso and a Pineda, and you say two of our best players on our team generally, right? I mean, because they're the field marshals,
Pretty
control
much.
everything.
They drive everything.
And they've been kind of not horrible, but not like the best.
Not they haven't played like they did the first half.
Well,
before
And some of that comes
World
from the fact that your back line now is not consistent right now.
So are they
Well,
then
you have that backline inconsistency, and I saw this come up on Twitter, and you guys know with me being out of town for a month, I've been very Twitterless. But
Yeah.
the one thing I picked up on yesterday was the Yedlin-Evans combination might not be working to the best of the abilities that everybody thought it was going to. And it's interesting.
But how much of that is because Ani Baba was not playing?
It's pretty much 'cause I hate Brad Evans.
Scott, I know.
You know, that pass to Oba, I was like, why didn't you shoot it?
Right.
Why didn't you shoot that?
But you look at where Ani Baba has been playing,
Yeah.
and then Scott had to cover him,
Yeah.
and that leaves Yedlin on a freaking
Sure.
island by himself.
But
I think that's more of an issue.
That comes back to the Chad Marshall thing. When you have a super strong, center back that can command the middle of that back line.
So then maybe it is the defense that are uncertainty in the back line that's moving our center, our mids back a little bit more.
Well, and we know Zach Scott is he's a tenured defensive player, but he is not that. He's not that center back that we need to have.
And we saw it on the
I mean, we
scoring
could
play.
talk about Traore's that guy. Chad Marshall's that guy.
I think he's playing better than Ani Baba, though.
Who?
Zach Scott.
Oh yeah, I think so too. But I mean,
Not to blame all on one thing.
But
though.
we can say the same thing about Jeff Park. We can continue all the way back when
Yanni,
we've had,
et cetera, et cetera.
when we've had that strong center back role that's able to really control that center line in the back
Yeah.
there, like a center back would do. Go figure. It really, that solidifies things.
It
But
makes a big difference.
Andy Baba doesn't know the system quite well yet. He's relatively new. His time with the
experience
first
on
his
the
time
big
with the
club,
first
yeah.
team has been in that secondary type role. So him taking on that big shot role, I don't think he's ready for it. Put him where Zach Scott is. Put Zach Scott out on the wing. Bring Chad Marshall
but do
back
we have
in.
other options right now with the
We
injuries?
don't. We don't.
And this is the thing, we're kind of running the same thing we ran into last year where
Yep.
when if you want to talk about Yedlin and Evans, how much have they played together this year? You say, hey, that combination's not working well between Yedlin being gone. And what a frustrating, I still like Brad a lot, and I know people are on him right now. But I mean, this guy.
He's always been on him.
I'm biased because I like the guy a lot,
Yeah,
and I think he's really talented. This is a guy 3 months ago we all thought was going to the U.S. team, and through injuries and pride, and then figure what he's fighting through with that U.S. team. He knows this was his one shot. This was going to be the
is it.
chance to go.
Yeah.
So I'm really pulling for him, but I think it's a matter. Hey, now he's finally back. I was happy to see him back out there. And now, let's get him and Yedlin. Hopefully, they can hang on to Yedlin. Get this. The
At least for
rumors
this year.
Yeah,
I see him he's going to finish the season.
It sure seems like they'd have the deal done by now.
Yeah, that's what they're. I mean,
Well, you never know.
And transfer supposedly that part of the rumors that he'll stay with us.
something like that. Yeah.
I think a transfer window. I think it's August 15th.
Is it? Is that when it closes?
But that's okay if they finish the deal and he goes next year. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, but so again, so maybe what we're seeing here is just, something we saw way too much of last year, which was, they got Dempsey, and then it seemed like they never had the lineup together, and there were always guys going out for games or injured.
Yep.
And I think we're going through a little bit of that right now, and it rams home again how long this stinking season is.
It is.
God,
It
man,
is.
soccer is such a long season.
March,
There's plenty of
December.
time. Soccer's like when you day drink and then sober up and then night drink. It's like a long soccer's a long season, man.
Well, it worked well last night.
You got time. If it's soccer, you got time to be really good in like March, April, May. You
Yeah.
can stink for 3 months and then still be really good and win.
You know what we
Actually,
call that
that's-
team? LA Galaxy.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's hard to be good for an entire. I mean, the pace these guys are on for a while. It's like they cannot keep this up, and now all of a sudden, here comes the pack, and they're on you, man.
Exactly, right. But that's the one thing that we have this year, I think, more than other years, is I think our depth, except for center back. Okay, so almost there, is stronger up front and in the middle than it's ever been.
I
I think
agree.
ever been.
I agree.
From top to bottom. When
Especially
you're
top.
pulling a Chad Barrett and a Tristan Bowen and a Kenny Cooper, like,
Cooper.
as like the 5th, 6th, and 7th option
Yeah.
up top,
Yeah.
that's pretty damn good right
Yeah.
there. And our back line, if you don't lose Traore, which actually I think the Traore injury was like the best thing that ever could have happened to this team, because he's going to be fresh for the last half of the year.
Right.
Which he
last
wasn't
year,
last
his
year.
legs were
Right.
dead.
Yeah.
Right?
He was dead at the
Chad
end of the
Marshall,
season.
give him a month. I don't care. Give him 6 weeks if he needs it.
Well, I don't know.
Okay, well, I mean, I don't
I'm a
want
little
that.
nervous
Me
not to
too.
see. I know what you mean.
But just give him that time.
There's a lot of time left.
And he comes back strong. You get the two of them back there, and then we're going to go into the final stretch and the playoffs extremely strong. That's my
If we can keep Oba
optimistic
healthy,
fan.
That's ideally how you want the rest of the season to play
to
out.
play out.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because you got Oba up top, you got Clint up top,
Yeah,
you
we're
got
not-
Papa up top, and then you watch them passing with Evans and Pineda and Lamar and whoever else, Alonso. It's ridiculous. There's just like this level of what they can do
Yeah.
to get the
And
ball
what
to
they've
each other.
done, they've
Yeah.
done the first half before the World Cup. What they did, I mean, it was amazing.
And if we can get them keeping the ball moving forward and out of the defensive third of the field, we're fine. We're set. But we're going to struggle a little bit for the next couple weeks. We are. With players coming back into the rotation that haven't been there. I mean, even Clint. I mean, he's got his moments of brilliance out there on the field, but you can still tell he's still one step out of rhythm.
You think that maybe he's a little tired?
He might be, but when you're getting paid $8 million
Yeah,
a
but
year,
still.
you have no.
Find it.
Figure it out.
Yeah, and it's the same
Drink a
thing.
Golazo.
It's a euphemism for tired or just banged up. I think guys do
banged
get
up. That's
banged
probably
up.
the better
Guys don't get
term.
tired.
Yeah.
But you're right.
And he
guys,
had a rough
he
World
gets
Cup,
banged
too.
up a lot. They
too.
do get worn down. Yeah, he did have. God, every time you turn around, he's getting hit in the nose.
Yeah.
He did have a rough World Cup. I don't want to say that he is going to. He's probably a little bit banged up. He probably needs a rest. You know, wouldn't be a bad thing to make sure he sits next week during the Open Cup game for sure.
Right,
You know?
right.
I mean, there's no reason to have him out there. There's no reason to
Okay,
have.
there's only one guy I want to see on that field.
And that's
Oba.
Obafemi Martins.
I want Oba
Oba.
on that Starfire field.
90.
Because
Yeah.
I think
Because you want to go up and kiss his legs.
Well, that too. I love his thighs. I
Oba
like his
thighs.
thighs. I mean, they're like
Hashtag Oba
ridiculous,
thighs.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, anyways, but him on that field because he's that poacher, that amazing ability to get in that right space at the right time.
He's another guy who was run down at the end of last year. You could tell you
Yeah.
what
Yes.
was it like that? It was like 17 months or something.
Yeah.
He played
Over and
straight.
over,
I mean,
yeah.
he was beaten down by the end of last year.
Exactly.
And Clint really hasn't had much downtime either.
Oba strikes me too. I'll compare him to the old baseball player Jim Palmer. Jim Palmer used to
God,
talk
yeah.
about, and Oba hadn't said this, but Jim Palmer used to talk about how there's some guys that you say he's a gamer, he can play no matter what. His arm can be falling off and he'll still pitch. Jim Palmer used to say, "Look, man, if my finger's sore, I can't pitch." He was very honest about it.
Yep.
Earl Weaver drove him to distraction. You can imagine a guy like Earl Weaver what he thought of that.
Yeah.
And Oba kind of strikes me that same way. Like he's almost got to have everything going. That I'm not saying he's not tough.
No.
There are just guys that cannot go if something's
certain
wrong.
image.
Hey, this is a little sore. I can't go tonight.
And one of the things that struck me is I think he took his World Cup break as well. If you noticed him not
Yeah,
being able to
yeah.
play in Vancouver,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
playing,
Yeah.
obviously DC with the red card issue. I mean, so there was a lot of that. I think he took his break because he wanted that. Listen, I
Right.
should have been there, and I should have had my break too.
Right.
And then as soon as Clint and Yedlin are back, it's like, oh, I'm healthy and I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
And again, I say that I'm okay with him taking a break. His level before and hopefully after here is going to be just as
Well,
high.
I mean, it didn't really affect us that poorly during the World Cup break.
Correct.
So I mean, him sitting out a couple weeks.
But is it hurting us now though? Are we feeling the friendly? Are we feeling the end of the World Cup? Are we feeling that?
Well, we can. I mean, let's put the friendly down to the bottom of the list tonight because I know we all have our own opinions about that. So, I mean, could that have meant something? Sure, but
No, but even Clint today in his interview today said that, not directly, but he basically said that threw off our rhythm a little bit.
But I would go, how? How did that?
Well,
I
that's
mean,
a
it's
great
90
question.
minutes of they played under the same rules. It was a beautiful day. I'm not a big fan of the friendlies. I mean, I understand why they do them, and I thought that was great at the start. It really helped energize the whole thing.
Exactly.
I find it now like, it feels like it does take them off the rails a bit, but then I go, but why? Why? You know, it is odd. It's the only sport where you play an exhibition game in the middle of the season. But
right.
again, so what?
Right.
You know,
It's almost like a glorified practice.
It would.
Yeah,
I would have been a lot
that's
better.
it.
I would have been a lot happier if they would have played that friendly tomorrow night during the World Cup or the
All-Star game.
the All-Star game on Wednesday.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
where it's okay. People want to come to the game. They don't know they're coming to a Sounders game because it's the Sounders, not because it's an MLS, All-Star game that they might not. This is their introduction to soccer.
Yeah.
So bring them into that, and that way, maybe the guys that aren't down there, Clint Dempsey, Yedlin, Ozzy. Did Oba make it? No, Oba didn't make it.
To the
All-Star game?
Yeah, he's
And Oba. So
The only one that's not there is Shed Marshall, who was supposed to be there.
He was supposed to be
because
there.
he had his injury.
Okay, so those five. Other
But
than
then they
those
called
five,
up Sean Okoli, and he's playing tonight and then the
Oh,
home game.
yeah, he got. Yeah, that's right.
Oh,
Him,
nice. That's right.
Yeah.
Didn't get.
No, Yedlin's supposed to, but he's
Because he
playing
got
in
called up for
yeah,
the big game, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Can I ask a non-soccer question?
Absolutely.
How long are we going to go before you told me I had a little piece of lettuce on my teeth?
About 60 minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you? I mean, because I'm like all of a sudden, I'm like, hey, wow. And then I realize I'm on camera. I'm like, well, this is going to be awesome.
Oh, actually,
Won't
that
this
was
be
the third
sensational?
question in the chat room.
Was that right? Yeah. Yeah. Gas has lettuce on his teeth. Somebody tell him.
That was
nice of you guys. That was
That
thoughtful.
and,
Thanks.
Well, that's our
what's your
profession.
favorite
Does it really?
beer?
Does it really say that? That's awesome.
And
No.
ask Gas his favorite beer. Hard-hitting question.
Juan Valdez 42, huh?
Yeah.
I'm a lager guy. I'm a light. I like lighter
Lager?
stuff. Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, I like.
Especially on a nice summer
I like,
day like this.
Yeah, I mean, I can't. The big heavy stuff. I know it makes me less of a man somehow.
Well, it does, but
Something I make up for.
it totally makes you.
I do my best.
Well, you're good company
Anyway,
with
sorry
these
to
two.
take you off the.
No.
I think I broke our
These
rhythm
two-
by asking
these
questions
two.
about food.
Our rhythm is like this all the time. So don't worry
pretty
about
much,
it.
yeah.
Now
We have a list of
Does
things
the
to
show
talk
go
about.
an hour? Or does it go an hour and a half? Does it go?
It
as long
goes
as
an
you want?
hour and then to wherever we want to go.
What time's the Berliner shut down?
2 in the
2
morning. 2 in the
2
morning.
a.m.
Yeah.
You guys are like, listen, what's 1 a.m.? The kind of guys get pulled over and they both go down. They're like, different answers to the same question. Where you been, guys? Hold out.
Wait, have you been with the Red Cops lately?
No, not me. Not me.
We can go as long or as short as you want.
So
Your
normally
time
we
is-
do an hour, and then we do 30 to 45 minutes post game. So,
Post-game?
which
Wow.
is
Okay,
which
we
is
call it the
completely R-rated, unrecorded, but totally live. So we talk.
How's it? Okay.
We don't record it.
You ask questions, I'll answer.
There you go.
Perfect.
Okay. So let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about
You can leave
you and you like. So I tweeted today that I was a little bit of I had a
Fan
school
cool.
girl like crush kind of
Yeah.
thing going on because I moved here in '91, which is coincidentally
Right
the
when I
year
got
you
here.
started.
Yeah.
At KJR.
When'd you
right?
move here?
In '91, August.
June. I got you about 2 months.
Yeah. So
I was established, man. I was 2 months in.
all right. Well, I'll move out now.
Now you know why he has gray hair.
Yeah.
You
right.
moved in.
Right here too.
Yeah.
What's left of that?
I got the best head of hair. dude.
I know
Man.
you do. You do. By far.
Clean living.
No question.
Yeah, clean living.
living.
Living is done
So
for me.
I moved here. I'm from Michigan originally, so I follow the Michigan teams. I moved here though, 16. I was like, okay, I'm going to follow the local teams. Started following that wonderful baseball team we have that hadn't won a damn
The Rainiers?
thing. Yeah, the Rainiers. Yeah, they're great. I was thinking the Aqua Sox, but whatever. But then I started listening to sports radio, and I heard you, and you have captured me for years. And I'll say that now that you're back on KJR, my viewership or my listenership, whatever you call it, has tripled again back there.
Thank
Because
you.
you are, and I'm not just saying it because you're here.
Appreciate that.
We have
But it's
pictures
the
to prove you
God honest truth that
Yeah.
I love Mitch in the morning. I did.
Yeah.
When you were with was you and Garage.
Yeah,
I mean that
yeah.
was And you and Elise came down here to the Oktoberfest.
That's right.
First year of
That was one of our last shows.
One of the last shows, yeah.
I think I knew I was leaving them, but nobody else did. Me, my wife, and one other guy knew.
Yeah, so when you came back online, I was super excited because that, with that to me, you had the best show in the afternoon segment. It was great. So I'm going to stop my fangirl for now.
That's fine.
But
that's fine.
If you want to hug him later,
I will. I might need to hug.
Keep it up. Everybody hates her and nice things about themselves.
Wipe your nose.
For you,
I like how they both do it.
Yeah.
So from 91 until, was it 13, right? Or 12?
12. December of 12 was December 6th, the day before the day that will live in infamy is when I left.
How was that like for you? Was that, that must have been a hard choice, or was it not really? Or did you, you had this in mind, right?
It's funny. No, I did not have this in mind yet.
Okay.
It's funny. I made the decision, it was September of 2012, and the ground had completely shifted underneath me. We had new management. There was a lot of changes. But what ultimately hit me was I really did find myself on too many afternoons thinking, I don't give a damn. My producer asked me a question. I don't care. Do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Who should we get? Should we get this guy? I don't know. Get whoever answers the phone. I don't give a damn. And I found myself.
That's like our show.
Yeah. Some guys build entire careers on that. But it was really creeping in too much.
Yeah.
And I just thought, and then, the company was shifting so much away from talk. There were
and they've
so
been
many
sold
resources.
too, right? I mean, they've gone from other.
Well, no, we were Clear Channel all along, but
okay.
Clear Channel bought us in like 2000. For years and years, they didn't mess with us. Then all of a sudden, they kind of started. A lot of the people that were there that I think did a lot of damage to the station are no longer there. They were only there for a few months. But it just got to a point where I didn't like working for them, and I didn't like what I was doing, and I thought, this is wrong to keep doing this. I've built up too much goodwill, and I have too many friends and too many people I like. So I'm gonna, my wife and I don't have kids, and that really, that was a real, that helped the decision quite a bit. If you have kids, you got to live for them, and suddenly there are a lot of people with kids going, hey, I got to work. I may not like my job, but I got to work.
Yep.
Or else. So September of 2012, I came home one night. A couple things that happened at work. I'm sorry, what? No.
Elijah Craig.
Give me some bourbon.
Bourbon?
Yeah,
you got bourbon coming to the table?
Bourbon. Do you like bourbon?
No, well, I do, but let's stay with beer for a little while.
Okay.
Yeah. We get bourbon. I will be here till 3 telling this already too long.
That's fine.
Anyway, I come home one night in September. I tell my wife, this happened at work today, and it's time to go. I'm ready. And she was excited about it. She was very supportive. And I had to wait about 2 months to tell them because of some contractual stuff.
Okay.
But every single day. And it wasn't like I was coming home going, I can't wait to get out of there. But every day I was coming home going, yep, this is the right decision. I made the right decision. And it was a couple of weeks after that a friend of mine named Aaron Reed, who is the ACS, he's one of like 7 presidents or whatever. They're a very interesting little organization. Aaron had been very generous to our charity thing and had donated some stuff. And he kept calling me saying, you have to go to a game with us. You have to go in the ECS section.
Yeah.
And there was a night they're playing Portland. I'm like, I'm not doing anything tonight. I said, how about whatever it was, October 5th? And he said, yeah, let's do it. And I got down there. Now, I'd been a season ticket holder, and I'd gone to matches, and I'd seen the march to the match. I'd seen everything. But that night, I just came down by myself. And I met Aaron at Fuel.
Yep.
And then...
Oh, so you got the whole experience.
Yeah, it might have been the U.S. Open Cup game with Portland, because I know they had the Open Cup with... I can't remember. It doesn't matter. I think it was the MLS game, but it doesn't matter. It's a Portland game. He's got the U.S. Open Cup, and he's going to march in the front of the march to the match. And I'm watching, and all of a sudden, we're over in the park, and I hear a speech, and I look over, and it's Joe Roth talking to the fans. And again, I knew this happened, but I'm like, this is amazing. I'm thinking to myself, there's not a professional sports owner in America who would come out to this park on a makeshift stage,
right next to the
with
homeless
kind
guy,
of a scratchy PA, and I'm like, this is really awesome. And then I'm walking, and I'm taking some pictures of Aaron and the march and everything, and I'm watching all the flares going off. We go in, and I experienced the whole game. We did a TIFO. I helped, push a TIFO up. I didn't do anything else. I was under. I got a couple of fun pictures of me underneath the thing, and watched the match. They beat the crap out of Portland, which is so much fun.
Yeah, it's the greatest.
And I leave, and again, I'm by myself. And I'm walking, and I always park way up into downtown because it's nice to take a walk, especially on a nice night.
Yep, sure.
And I'm walking, and as I'm walking, it just suddenly hits me. I go, this story, and what I saw tonight, and I knew all this existed, but the supporters, the owner talking to the fans, the TIFO, the jam-packed stadium, the team's good. They beat the hell out of their arch rival. And I happened to, I'm like, God, I know a lot of the people involved in this, and this is a great story, and I don't think people know it.
Yeah.
And I got home that night, and again, I told my mom, I said, I know what I'm going to do now. She goes, what? I go, I'm going to write a book on the Sounders. She goes, okay, good. And I was, in my mind, it was done already, and it didn't quite turn out how I thought about that night, but I'm like, that night, I am going to tell this story in book form, because I know I can write a book, and I know this is a great story, and I'm positive they'll give me access. And I mentioned to you earlier that my wife and me, and the third person who found out I was leaving KJR was Adrian Hanauer. Because nobody else knew yet. I hadn't told anybody. I hadn't told my attorney who negotiated it. But I went to him and I said, look, I'm leaving. And I said, but and I'm not leaving because of this, but I want to pitch this book idea to you. And he offered to, he says, hey, we'll cooperate with you. We'll help you as much as we can. I'm like, that's all I want. And that was in about the middle of October, and then I announced, I think, on November 30th that I was leaving. So how's that for a long answer to a question?
No, but that's beautiful. That's what we wanted.
That's exactly it.
I mean, like, I'm sorry, I got goosebumps right now because that is like brilliant.
People don't understand where the book came from because you kind of just did a departure.
Right. And it would be common sense. So he had this book, so he left. No, I leaped before I looked, man. I was out, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do.
We know somebody that does that every day.
A little bit.
But I want to kind of bring this back a little bit because you talked about Clear Channel and terrestrial radio, and Aaron's a big satellite radio guy. I'm a huge satellite radio guy.
And he's on Pearl Jam radio.
There you go.
Right?
I am, yeah. So they don't make a move without me.
Yeah, pretty much.
They were this middling little band when I got there. No, they're doing fine. They're doing fine. They don't need my help. But yeah, that was the best summer job I ever had. It was last summer. I had a bunch of interviews for them.
That was awesome.
They're fun to work with.
But as you've seen the business over, let's say, 20, 25, 30 years, it's the radio business has changed.
No doubt.
And it is. Do you think it's for good as a whole or bad for the business? Especially for talk radio.
Talk radio, I think one of the odd things about talk radio, and it happens in just about every market right now, is when you get competition, instead of creating what competition is supposed to create, which is true competition, it creates a thing where everyone is always talking about the NFL all the time, every day, every minute, because if you're not talking about the NFL, the other guys are, and they're getting all the ratings of the 15 people that you're basing your ratings on.
Sure.
So it was very frustrating. It's like we had to move away from all this other stuff. Now, I got to back up a little bit. I don't want to sound like the old man screaming at clouds either.
No, it's not.
That formula works.
Sure.
The way they're getting ratings now is NFL, NFL, NFL. And they repeat the mantra. And I'm talking all the sports stations. Yep. They refer to it as playing the hits.
Yeah. Sure.
We got to play the hits. It's hit music radio.
Right.
And it's hard to argue with that because that is what drives. And in Seattle, it's really, people would say, well, why would you argue about the NFL? Because obviously we're at this incredible peak right now.
Yeah, sure.
But it's really nationwide, and it's constant. The NFL is the only league in the history of the world that has trained the media like lapdogs to treat the announcement of the schedule as an actual goddamn news story. It's like, wait. The schedule, is it still 16 games? Yeah. 8 home, 8 away? Yeah. 6 within the division? Yeah. How is this news? And yes, the media in America would say, and they here you go. Here's the schedule. Oh boy. Oh, we got Tampa Bay on November 3rd. Oh boy. That's like, this isn't a story. This isn't news, man. Why is this news?
Wait, here, us MLS freaks, we're sitting here waiting for the schedule to come out, and Don Garber waits 4 hours or 5 hours, and we're getting delayed.
How dare he? Do you think it's
You know what? I think a blogger dies every year. The schedule isn't announced on time.
Yeah, it is. And look, and you know what? Again, now I do sound like an old man yelling at clouds. I don't want to do that. The guys working right now, they do a great job. And you know what? Again, I'm laughing at it, but you know what people want to know the day the NFL schedule's announced? What's the schedule? Who do we play? When do we play them? And it creates this insanity. We're not on Monday Night Football enough. It's like, who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares? The people in Toledo don't know how good we are. Who cares? We won the Super Bowl. Who cares if somebody in Biloxi, Mississippi doesn't know what the Seahawks are? I don't get it.
No, I was just there. They know.
It's that aspect of it just kind of mystifies me. And yeah, like I said, that's what's going now. So,
but do you think there's more of a market on satellite radio for soccer fans? I won't say MLB fans because I think baseball, as much as I am not a baseball person, but hockey, golf, soccer, the other
sports.
The other sports. Do they have a realm in satellite radio that can expand? I mean, I know it's a business decision because you have to get good people like us to do shows.
I think I think the problem with satellite radio and sports is sports has to be local.
Yeah.
It has to be.
Yeah.
And satellite radio by its nature cannot be.
Local, right.
And so there's a market for soccer fans there because there are dedicated channels and shows, and then so that's there.
Yep.
Look who's here.
You can just set that to the side.
Did you order two?
No, I ordered one for you, but
All right, we'll
you don't have to drink
here.
it yet.
Put it over there.
Just
We'll
put it
keep
over there.
here.
The ice will melt.
It'll be
It's
for
fine.
the after show. So I don't
yeah.
swear anymore.
No, there's no FCC regulation here. You can say fuck all you want.
That's the great thing about the podcast. Lee Rail, ladies and gentlemen.
We try to be somewhat not picky, but yeah.
I think that hurts satellite radio, though, is that you just can't
Do local.
Sports is local, man. It really is, and that's why I always, people would say to you, why didn't you want to do a national show? And I mean, the truth is, I never had an opportunity to. I mean, and that's so there's that. That's kind of a big part of the equation. But I like local. That's why I always had season tickets instead of going to the press box. I like being with the fans. I like feeling what they're feeling, and I was just a joke. I said, why don't you sit in the press box? I go, A, because the press, we're the most miserable people on earth. I mean, we are no fun.
Self-deprecating.
And B, the fans are I always like to elbow a guy in the men's room and pay $8.50 for a beer. Feel the pain a little bit.
Feel the pain.
I can't.
Wait. What did you do in the men's room?
Elbow a guy.
All right, just checking.
Tapped his toe. Hey, buddy.
Just making sure.
I like that aspect of it. And as soon as you go national, you're like, I'm trying to even think, what would be the big national story today? I'm trying to think of what it would be. Yeah, but it's something.
Tiger Woods not being able to play golf ever again.
That's probably the big,
Did he retire?
No, he had a back injury yesterday. He was
so this is what you're talking about. And you're not talking about anything of any kind, whereas
Something that we can
whereas
relate
if
to.
we're here, if
The
we're doing a
decision.
live show in Seattle,
Yeah, right.
we're saying, oh God, the M's, man, they're just continuing to spin their wheels, and what's wrong with the Sounders right now? And hey, the Hawks, they had another guy hurt or whatever, and there's that you're feeling that emotional connection with the truck driver you're talking to, and the person listening on their deck and all that, and that's where satellite is going to have a hard time.
Makes sense.
And that's why local radio is still going to be fine. Sure. They're still trying to find whatever the new bottom is for local radio because it's gotten chipped away.
That's kind of what I was wondering. Because with your big radio companies coming in and taking over, there's 3 or 4 of them. ESPN, Clear Channel, all that.
Yeah.
It seems like the same format. He travels a lot. I travel a lot.
Yeah,
we see the same format in every city we go to. There's two or three talk radio stations that do news, 2 or 3 that do sports, and they're all doing the exact same thing in every city, or it's syndicated.
Right, and that is the Telecommunications Act of 1998 was, in my opinion, a devastating piece of legislation, and I thought it at the time. And it allowed for these super companies. There used to be a law. It was called the 777 law, and like the 4 of us could form a company. And no matter how many billions of dollars we had, we were allowed to own 7 AM stations, 7 FM stations, and 7 TV stations. And there was only so much in one market. You could not corner the media market, and it prevented. The reasoning behind it was we want the airwaves to belong to the public, and we want news and information to flow. Everybody's got an agenda, obviously, but to flow to a certain extent freely as opposed to if one company owns 8,000 stations and can really stake out an agenda and say, we want this. That was a real failed piece of legislation. And then what happened? Then that led to companies like Clear Channel bought up as much as they could. They bought every radio station in sight. And then the recession hit. And my joke was always they found out owning every radio station in Fargo, North Dakota is not the bargain. And they want to sell them back to mom and pop in Fargo. Now mom and pop knows exactly what the price of that thing is and exactly what it's going to take, so they won't buy it back. It's created a thing where, and now then combine this with this goofy little thing, the internet that none of us had heard of 20 years ago. So radio is just getting chipped and chipped and chipped. But there is a market for it. I mean, it's not going away. It's because of the local aspect.
Yeah, you have like buddies like our buddy C-Tones. He's like, with my job driving all day and listening to the radio, I still got that's how I get the information.
And you still connect. And again, the problem with corporate stuff is they can kind of bleed the personality out of it. Yeah. Music radio is such a sickening thing anymore because the DJs used to They were your friends.
They were
man.
personalities.
They
You could call them. You could call them and talk to them.
They had gone to the show the night before.
Yeah.
They knew the hot bands.
We
They
actually
knew what
have
was
a
coming.
friend that watches
DJ.
the show
Yeah.
who was a DJ during the 90s, late 80s, and early
Yeah,
90s.
and they've cut them down. You have to say this, and just say it real quick. Promote our national agenda, promote our national contest, and all that. And so they have. It's funny. I always like to say that the thing I would tell all the people who manage radio right now is, what's the only thing that differentiates local radio from, say, satellite? It's the DJ.
Absolutely.
So you're limiting what he can say. That's the dumbest thing I ever thought. It's like, no, we want more of him, because Sirius cannot compete
That's right, they don't
with a
have him.
good afternoon DJ on a rock station. They
No way.
can't.
No,
I
Because
agree.
a good DJ can
Like,
But
like,
that's why the men's
like
the men's-
Ted Smith. Yeah, I was just gonna say Ted Smith.
Yeah.
Ted Smith, the men's room on
Yeah,
like
yeah.
KISW,
Yeah.
that type of show, the morning drive, the afternoon drive. If you can put a good show on with good DJs,
Yeah.
that's communicating that has a reciprocal relationship with the audience.
Yeah.
You can call into the show, you can talk to them, you feel connected.
And he'll go out and drink with you, and he'll go out and
Yeah.
do whatever.
Yeah,
And be there.
yeah. I mean, and that's so. Anyway, again, kind of long-winded, but
Okay,
radio's
no,
got
that's okay.
challenges. But they're going to find the new bottom wherever it is, and then kind of settle into that.
So I got a question for you, because this is something I experienced firsthand. I get upgraded a lot because I fly a lot.
What?
And I sat down in my first class seat.
yeah.
I was in one seat,
He'll never upgrade me.
and there was a guy in 1A who happens to be one of the local guys on 710, who is an ex-football player, a backup quarterback, in the morning
Now,
show.
who could that be?
The University of Washington,
I
maybe,
think he might
or
have been, yeah.
somewhere
I
down
don't
in
think-
Puyallup.
But it was
maybe?
interesting because I was wearing my Sounders polo, and I was wearing Sounders scarf and hat. Like
He probably struck up a conversation with you.
He
right?
did. He did.
Oh, did he?
He actually did.
About the Sounders?
He did.
How about that?
Yeah, he actually. I'm dead serious.
That surprises me.
He did because he was asking about like where my thoughts were on the team, etc. And then I started to ask him because he opened the conversation because I knew who it was right away. And I'm like, I'm kind of like almost fangirl.
How could you miss him? I mean,
Well,
come
no
on.
doubt. I know exactly.
Big giant square head, you out square jaw guy. Come on, you couldn't miss him.
But I asked him the question about like where the Sounders rate in their world as far as like overall show and how much
Right.
ratings and everything else. So that because they don't, and people have made a comment here, they don't cover the Sounders
Right.
at all.
Right.
Like very, very little.
Yeah.
Where now KJR, one of the exciting things is they took a chance on a. Granted, it's a 7 o'clock on a Tuesday,
Yeah.
which is like prime radio. But they took a chance and they gave a local legend who I'm not, a slot and said, "Go for it." And when you were here, you said, "I'm going to cover the Sounders and I'm going to fan. I'm going to buy tickets and I'm going to do it." And people would listen. Like we listen to Twitter, or we're all on Twitter a lot, and we hear all the people talk about how much they hate local radio, they hate sports radio, they hate this because
we
they
never get
never
mad.
talk about it.
Yeah.
But they always said, the Gasman will give us time. He'll show interest in it, and it's not just a bullshit like whatever. But you actually cared, and that's so. I guess my question is, are the ratings good enough?
Yeah.
And when you were back in the day, did you find that? Because one of the comments he made was that if he was talking about whatever, NBA, MLB, whatever, the ratings would drop when he talked about Sounders.
There's a thing, the what's called the people meter. That again, it's another
Okay.
thing that whoever invented it should be taken out back and beaten to death by the guys from the
If
boxing
you
club. over
need
there.
me to do that, I will.
And it has created this thing where they can really almost in real time monitor.
Yeah.
But it's just like the old days where it's like, honestly, it's like 15 or 20 people get them.
Right.
Yeah.
So if the 15 or 20 people you have, if like half of them stop listening because you're talking Sounders, well, we lost half our listeners. Well, that's
Right.
not necessarily true. We don't
Right.
know that. We can't. But that's the only measurement that they have.
Yeah.
I know that's their philosophy over there. They feel that when you talk soccer, or when you, and that's an ESPN philosophy. They've been
Yeah.
told at the corporate level, you have to talk NFL 50% of the time, 100% of the days of the year.
Wow.
Every
Which
single
makes
day
a
the
lot
year,
of sense.
you have to talk football.
Why when they have the ESPN sports break during the MLB show,
Yeah.
you get nothing but the NFL.
Yeah, yeah. There's no doubt. I mean, it was funny in Mariner games early in the year before the Mariners kind of got hot and kind of got everybody excited. They'd run their little the ads on the big screen, and it'd be Brock or it'd be Bob. All these guys. I know all these guys.
Yeah.
We're all good
Oh, yeah,
friends.
good, yeah, good.
And they're. Tomorrow on the Brock and Danny show, we're going to be talking about this Mariner game. But you can bet we'll be talking about the Seahawks because that's what everybody wants to hear. It was really funny, to watch this. Like, and then they've kind of backed off of that a little bit. But it's play the hits. It gets back to that same mentality. I hated that, and I loved all the people out at Emerald Downs. I loved talking. I was leading my show with hockey. You know, when the Canucks got to the Stanley Cup Finals, every afternoon at 3, we'd talk about hockey for 20 minutes.
NASCAR.
I like NASCAR. You think soccer fans think there's not enough coverage? Try being a NASCAR fan.
I'm a NASCAR fan too, and when you were like a big deal when they were trying to do it in Silverdale and all that stuff, you were a big supporter of that. I love that. I loved it. I thought it'd be awesome.
You know something? If that track had been built out there, we'd be 7 years in right now. It was going to be done in 2000. We'd be into our 7th year of hosting races out here.
See, I'm old now.
Think about that.
God, that was 7 years ago.
Yeah,
that would have been done.
So anyway, I grew up in a house where we liked everything. Man, we watched live sports. I like barrel
you
jumping.
You put ping pong on TV. I'm probably gonna watch it.
There's always beer pong.
Ping pong.
You put beer pong too.
Wait. I've seen your Snapchats.
But let's think about this for a second. I would say this on behalf of everybody in radio in this town, and for soccer fans, back off a little bit. There is a show on KJR for an hour on Tuesday nights. Softy talks to Ziggy every couple of weeks. Let me finish. Softy has a show every couple, or has Ziggy on every week or every other week.
Yeah.
Ross is on The End every week.
Absolutely.
Ross is on ESPN every week.
Yep.
The guy on Cairo FM is doing some soccer
tonight.
Night now. So
Ziggy tonight, 8:30.
So there is some. You don't get caught up in the I hate local radio. No. Support the guys who are doing it and be good to them, because there's more coverage here than any city in America, and it continues to get better.
So I'm going to segue to that comment because this is a hot button issue for me. This is like Aaron
First class.
Yeah.
You go in our back at 17p and C. Can I have some peanuts?
Please.
Ice cube.
Wait a minute.
Brock and this guy. Brock and the girl squealer are up there going, hey, what do you think?
He just called you girl squealer.
It's out there. I really lashed out. That was unfair.
No. Actually, there's time for him to get some.
It is time for us to get some.
I'm okay with that.
All right.
But my thought though is that we have I've been a fan since about 2008-7. Soccer fan.
Yeah.
When Drew Carey raised the 12th man flag, I remember walking up just past the Hawks Nest because I had season tickets to the Seahawks, and Drew Carey raised the 12th man flag, and that was like the first I had heard of the actual announcement of the Sounders were coming to the MLS.
Right.
Okay, because I was in my little bubble. I was in my little bubble.
He was.
And I called my wife from the stadium. She couldn't hear jack shit. But I called her. I said, the Sounders... No. Yeah, exactly.
You rested?
That was the week before, maybe after. But I called her. I said, hey, the Sounders, we're going to have an MLS soccer team. And she was a soccer fan. I was kind of like, whatever. If it's on, I'll watch it. But I'm not like a fan. We should get tickets. So I called up my rep like a couple weeks later whenever they announced the actual tickets came on sale. And I bought tickets right away. And that was my start of becoming a soccer fan. And one of the things that I thought was interesting from your book, when did you become a soccer fan?
My story would parallel yours a little bit, although I'll say this, and again, it just goes back to kind of my philosophy and how I was raised. I always liked soccer. I didn't love it. I didn't seek it out. But if it was on, I'd be like, hey, wait. And back when I was growing up, if it was on, it was a big deal. Whatever it was.
It was a World Cup final. We get it.
But my senior year at Indiana, they won their first of now 8 national championships.
Oh, wow.
Thank you very much. And I'd love to say we went to all the matches and got into it, but
so if I say M go blue, that's not a good thing right now?
No, M go to hell.
Hang on.
And the show's over. Oh, shoot, we're offline. No, I'm kidding.
Damn.
Technically, if I would know that, I would have said that like 30 minutes ago.
So I always liked it. I liked the sport.
Yeah.
And then I got here, and I knew the Sounders existed. Truthfully, I didn't pay much attention to them.
Yeah.
And I don't remember how or why this happened, but either Bart Wiley or Adrian reached out to me in 2002 when they had just gotten involved with the USL.
Yep.
And they said, look, and they were very kind of hat in hand. Look, we know we're a minor league team in a major league town. Could you do anything? And I said, hell yeah, I'll have let's have you on once in a while. Who's your coach? Brian Schmetzer, the guy from the Stray Cats. We started that joke immediately because I didn't know Brian Schmetzer was.
Right, that is awesome right there. I'm sorry, I didn't know that. Okay.
So we started having him on. And it wasn't once a week or anything, but every few months, or if they had a big match, they'd call us, hey, can you have us on? And we'd have them on, and we'd pump their ticket sales. And I did a thing in like 2005. I emceed a thing on there with what was his name, Sammy the Whale. I was working with a whale. It was like the high point of my career.
Sammy Whale.
But then same thing, and I'm hearing the rumblings MLS coming, and Adrian and I would talk about this, and he knew it. I said, you got to be major league in this town. Once you're major league, I will talk about you because you're at the top level. It's just hard. When you're a minor league team in a major league city, it's hard. If I'm thinking, okay, I could talk about this second division soccer team, or I can talk about our Major League Baseball team, or our National Football League. It's just not. But if it's MLS, you're like, hey, this is the highest level league. Okay, I'm going to talk about it. It's like the Boeing Classics can come to town at the end of the month.
Right.
That's the best golfers at the senior level, so that's worthy of talking about.
Right,
You know,
sure. Absolutely.
So that's the idea of when I became a fan. I kind of always liked it. I truthfully became more of a fan when the MLS got here, and I could start really paying attention to it. And the games are on TV and all that. I mean, that's I'm a child of the television era.
So I don't mean to steal all or everything. I'll let you guys admit. But so in your book, you talk about the history. You talk all the way back to Spencer and Adrian and all that stuff. So is that because of the access you had then for them when you decided to write the book? Is that where some of those details came from that allowed you to have all, because the story, I mean, I told you this off the air before the show started. I got a little bit I was misty-eyed. I was tears in my eyes because there's some great pieces in the story of things that thank you.
Brock, can you give me a tissue?
So if you don't have everything come together just right, what happened doesn't happen, obviously.
Well, that's the whole gist of the book. I didn't know when I started. All I said to Adrian when we started, I said, look, for starters, because they get hit from a lot of directions, I said, I don't want any money. If this book is a sound or paid for book, it's not going to have any credibility at all.
Right.
And boy, his eyes lit up when I said that. He goes, oh, you don't want money, huh? I want access. And he knew me, and he trusted me. He knew I would give the thing a fair shake. Yeah. I said, just tell me, give me as much as you can. And it wasn't always easy. I mean, it took a while to schedule some things, and I did, I don't know how many hundreds of hours worth of interviews to get to this. But as I got more access, and as I saw, it was funny. A lot of guys were like, "Oh, you're going to write the NASL story?" I go, "No, I'm going to write the story of the team that's in business now." And so there's a couple NASL notes, but I really thought the starting point was the NFC Championship game in
2006.
In 2006, which came as a direct result of getting the stadium passed in 1997, which. And there are Seahawks fans who will refuse to believe this, but they don't know their history.
I know.
Would not have happened if it weren't for soccer fans. And that story's in the book.
Fred Mendoza.
Fred Mendoza. Oh, my God.
Yeah,
so that part of the book is where I haven't read the whole thing, to be honest, but I read that part and I'm like, wow. And I'm a huge Seahawks fan too, like huge. Like I've had season tickets since Paul Allen bought the team.
Yeah.
And just I didn't know that. Yeah. And I consider myself a really knowledgeable Seahawks fan, but knowing that, and I remember those stories about it had to be a part soccer stadium.
I remember too. Because they knew, and in the book Fred talks about, they knew it wasn't going to pass if it was just a football stadium. You got to remember, and again, the people that want to poo-poo that now, they don't remember the Hawks were as low as off the radar as you could be. They were just a non-factor in this town, and yet everybody's like, well, we don't want to lose them. We don't want to lose them just because they're not good.
No.
And so,
Ken Berry with his moving trucks,
and so the team, and so the stadium thing is being done, and Allen was very specific. He said, I will do this once. I will do it once, and I will only do it if we're 50-50 partners on a stadium. We'll have a statewide election. That's how it's going to go. And all the polls are trending that this thing is going to lose. Not get destroyed, but it's going to lose.
Especially after what happened with Safeco.
And that's when Fred Mendoza, a lawyer who just happens to just love soccer, he approached Bert Cole and Paul Allen. You should get Fred on.
He's a guy. I've never met the guy, and I've never talked to him.
He's such a delightful guy.
Like after reading the book, I found out who this guy is now.
Great storyteller. He loves the sport. He loves the sport. And he meets with them, and he says, guys, we've been thinking about this, and he and Michael Campbell, who's at the sports council at the time, they had approached the MLS, said, we want to do an MLS team, and they said, you don't have a stadium. They weren't going to put it in the Kingdom. They knew it was just so until you get a stadium, don't even bother talking to us. So they go to Paul Allen and Bert Cole, Bert is Paul's number one guy. Bert was on the podium with Paul at the Super Bowl. A lot of people go back and look and go, who's that guy there? That's Bert Cole.
Okay.
That's another guy. When Seahawks fans say, that's not true, I'm like, why is Paul's number one guy telling me it's true if it's not true? So anyway, they meet with them and say, we think this would be great. And they were like 2 minutes into the meeting, and Bert Cole interrupts and says, guys, this is a sensational idea. He knew. It's like, wait a minute. Because there were at the time like 300,000 people playing soccer in the state. And Fred's like, we'll deliver those votes. We'll get them for you. And Fred drove all around the states because it was a statewide election. He went to every little town and spoke to the soccer groups and said, you got to vote for this because we're going to get an MLS team if you vote for it, and that'll have soccer at the best level and all that. and the thing passed less than 51 to more than 49.
Right.
Like everything else in America, it came right down to the wire.
Yep.
Without soccer fans, that stadium doesn't
Never
get
happens.
built. Now, you never know, but Allen was very definitive. I am only going to do this once, and if you vote me down, I'm out. And the team then most likely would have gone back to Ken Behring, who then would have declared bankruptcy
And then moved
Taking him to LA.
and said to the NFL, hey, I tried to get a stadium. Paul Allen tried to get a stadium, but they
same
won't
thing
build
like
it.
the Sonics.
It would have been the same exact thing. The NFL would have said, well, now you're on your own, Seattle. We can't help you anymore. And soccer fans, sure as we're sitting here, they got that stadium built.
So you're telling me that soccer fans are what brought the Super Bowl to Seattle?
You can argue that might be the Anaheim Seahawks, who played in the 2006 championship and then lost in Super Bowl 40 and then won the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah.
And we'd all hate Richard
Damn, those
Sherman 'cause he
Anaheim
didn't play for
Seahawks
us.
are good.
Yeah, they're good, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, it's people. That was the biggest criticism I received on the book, and I said, this is not some giant leap I'm taking.
That was
here.
the
This
biggest
is
criticism, really?
people, and especially because that comes from the anti-soccer crowd who are like, no, the Hawks. And there's people that say, I love it. People say, we gotta get the Sounders out of there. So the Hawks have their own stadium. I'm like, guess who benefits from the Sounders being there? You idiots! The Hawks. Financially, they benefit. They want them there.
Yeah, because guess what? I mean, think of all the NFL stadiums throughout the country that aren't being used in the offseason.
They get used 8 times a year, 10 times a year.
Yeah, plus some concerts here and there and
Maybe,
special
yeah.
events.
Yeah.
Our stadium is used almost
All year
through the
long.
entire
Yeah.
year, if not for multiple sports for multiple seasons.
If it's just sports, it's used 30 times a year, which is better. And again, that doesn't sound like much. It's once every 15 days.
Sure.
It's twice a month. So you can do the math any way you want, but having soccer, and look, having soccer with the best fan base in America really helps.
Oh, yeah.
Because if it was soccer and they were drawing 15,000, it'd be okay. But that's not the same. Go talk to the business guys down at Pioneer Square, the restaurant guys. How you think they like that?
Yeah,
you
from
got
somebody
buddies,
that
right?
my family got affected, with the Sonics leaving. So you'd have thousands of people affected if the stadium hadn't been
It's
built,
helped. It's helped that area. So anyway, it's
That was an interesting part of the book, I thought, was that you talked specifically about the business owners and how it really helped as the recession was coming on. The Sounders came on, and that transformed the entire Pioneer Square Occidental area to a positive.
Business, I think of one business, Tats, just for one. I mean,
Tats still,
is a great business to think of. It's a lunch place during the week,
Right.
And they open up for games. So they'll be open for NFL games and MLS games, and their business is booming because of that.
Yeah, Mick McHugh's an old friend of mine who runs
Yeah.
FX McCrory's. Now that
Yeah.
place is gigantic. What a hole would there be in that neighborhood
my
if
God.
they went under? And Mick says the Sounders saved it.
Yeah.
So they were not going because, and again, this is something that we mentioned a little bit in the book. The Mariners were in the process at that time of going from $3.5 million a year to $1.9 million a year. They were in this free fall.
Yeah.
Hopefully this year will be the bottom, and they start kind of back up. But I mean, again, so that really was impacting those places down there. To suddenly have this team come in that was going to give you 35, 40, 45,000 a night, 20 nights a year, and there's a great quote from Mick, and Mick likes selling hard liquor to soccer fans, so broaden your game out a little bit. But Mick's big joke with soccer fans is they know what a beer's for.
Right.
I mean, they love
Yes.
beer sales.
Yeah.
Hard liquor on NFL is much, much bigger.
Yeah.
Sure.
Soccer fans, they like beer, man. That's what they want to
We just need
drink.
to drink more.
We just need to go to FX McCrory's and drink.
Well,
more.
I do
Yeah.
because I go to a
Family
couple places.
friendly, yeah.
I've got 2 kids.
Yeah.
A 10-year-old
Yeah.
and a 4-year-old, and we've
Yeah.
taken them. I bought 4 seats. My wife, in hindsight, was actually pregnant with my son as we went to the first game, so he was there for Freddie's goals in the first game.
Oh, look at you.
Technically,
Look at you.
yeah. But we bought 4 seats because we knew we were going to have 2 kids. That was our goal. So I
Right.
bought 4 seats that first year.
So you're confident. You got the first kid in the oven, and you're confident, man. I'm gonna get the second one done.
My daughter was 5, so I was kind of
Oh,
like.
so she was already okay.
Oh, she was there, yeah.
Did you know she was pregnant when
No,
you bought the 4?
God no. Oh God no.
Wow, that's a confidence there, man.
Really?
I don't know that. How about it?
Yeah.
They don't have the second kid. They're got 4. Why do you have 4
they
seats?
have the
Well, it's a
extra
long
seat.
story. I can deliver the goods.
Yeah, right? It's coming as soon as she'll let me back in the room.
That's awesome. That's a great story. So you bought 4.
We bought 4. We had 1 kid, and we were gonna have 2. That was our goal. And my son was born in November of that first year, 2009.
Yeah.
Dude, he was there for the MLS Cup we won in.
Yeah, well,
That's right.
He was. He actually
I was
was.
there.
Yeah, I was.
I
there
didn't even
too.
know why I was there for
Yeah,
the MLS Cup.
Yeah, I know,
We were
me
there.
too. But yeah, so and that for us, I mean, my daughter now has soccer, and my son now too, has soccer stadium rules, which is
They're allowed to cuss.
well, Daddy never swears.
Yeah. Except on this show.
That's right.
Yeah.
Swear all you want.
The FCC's not here.
But to me, it was a good gamble because
Yeah.
it was, and I'll tell you what, going to that first game, and you were there, and you were there, and you were there.
Yep.
Oh my God!
Me too.
I mean,
Dude,
transformed.
me too, man.
I know.
Just remembering it.
When he scored in the 11th minute,
Yeah.
it's like, oh my God!
Me and my brother
I
have
mean,
been like long-time Seahawks fans, and we were
So
born in
did I.
Mexico, and we
I was born in Mexico.
But we were soccer fans.
Why do you
but
keep
we-
throwing that in our face?
I'm just saying, we weren't like hardcore because we just grew up here, so we were all about the Seahawks. And actually, I gotta credit my brother because he's the one that's like, dude, give me the $50 for the deposit. Give me the $50. It's like, all right. So we got our deposit and we went. And after that, we kept looking at each other like, is this real life? Is this America? Are we in America right now? Like 30,000 people and we're going crazy.
I remember
Oh.
the day that the team was announced. Me and my buddy had been waiting for the day to come, and I was in the Phoenix, and I was at a conference, and my wife called me, and I had my cell phone in my pocket, and my wife called me, and I was like, fine. I was at an event, and I couldn't get. Finally, I pull away, and she's like, "What?" She's like,
Exactly.
She's like, "Didn't you hear?" And I'm like, "No." They announced this. They announced the MLS team in Seattle. I was like, "You got our season ticket deposit, right?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm number 798 and 799."
It's not bad.
I'm like, "All right, I'll take that."
Not bad. I gotta correct something you said though, because it's a good story. I was not there on opening night.
Oh, you weren't? Oh.
And here's why. So I was working for KJR, and we had the Huskies, and the Huskies were playing in Portland in the opening round of the NCAA tournament. And I think Gonzaga was down too, so we took the whole station down there, and we're set up in a sports bar, and I,
Tough life.
we had, I mean, I had either Adrian, I think I had Adrian on that afternoon from the stadium and wished him well, so we're covering a little bit. But in my mind, I remember saying to him too, I was so ignorant about this, I just didn't know, none of us knew. I remember saying, it's a shame you're opening up on the first night of the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
Because who'd do that? It's like, it's like opening a restaurant
Exactly.
opposite a food
Yeah.
festival.
Yeah.
It's like, come on. So, and I knew it was raining, and I'm like, they're going to get 15,000. It'll be fine, but it's not going to be what they were hoping to get 30. And so we're in this bar in Portland, and there's 200 TVs. They're all on the NCAA. And I went over to a bartender and I said, hey, there's just one TV. There's nobody over there. Would you put that on ESPN2 for me? I want to watch something. I said, yeah, sure. They put it on, and whatever the lead, and I'm watching. And all of a sudden, the soccer thing started, and I looked, and I'm like, what is this? I was like, this isn't this. This isn't. Now I almost went over and said, this is the wrong channel. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's Quest is done. That's Quest Field.
Yeah.
And I was stunned.
Yeah.
I was like,
34,000. Yeah.
and I'm like, all right, then.
Well,
Because I had always believed, in that moment, I changed my mind. I'd always believed that people would say soccer fans are different. I'm like, no. Sports fans are sports fans. No, there is a different element of soccer, and that's the best example of it ever. You can open up head-to-head against the NCAA tournament, which is National Couch Potato Day. Everybody sits around and watches the games.
People take the day off.
The
But
day,
in
the
this
day
day-
before vasectomy day, or the day after
Well, that's
vasectomy,
actually when
national
I'm.
vasectomy day.
Next
What? How do we
year.
get on that?
Next year.
No,
March.
that's
But
what it is.
is that right?
good.
So the day before the NCAA
I'm doing
tournament
mine.
starts is the largest day for vasectomy.
I'm doing mine next year.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Seriously?
I'm doing
because
mine.
guys need an excuse to sit around with peas on their nuts for 3 days.
I'll
I'm
be
dead
awesome.
serious.
That's
Well,
Robbie.
I got my
awesome.
vasectomy done.
Well, if I had that done, I wouldn't need the excuse of the NCAA tournament. It could be soap operas. I mean, I'm not moving.
it would be a wise choice.
Yeah, probably a good
But
choice.
that was kind of that. And I remember that, and I go, wow.
Yeah.
This is
It was a magical
really
night for
going to
me.
be
Okay,
bad.
so I went and watched the first game, and I was just learning to ski at this point.
Right.
My father-in-law got me into skiing. So we went to Bend, Oregon. We were up skiing at Mount Bachelor. And this is the third week now. So I'm missing my third game, right? The third game of the year. And I'm like, I found it on TV, and my daughter was sleeping in the bed next to me.
You're already hooked.
I
You got
had
the hook in your
TV
mouth.
I did. Oh my
Yeah,
God. I had
yeah.
the TV on, like
That's
just
awesome.
a little bit. I had my gear on.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was just, it's changed all my life completely. Because here I am 5 years later, 6 years later. We have a stupid podcast. Well, not
Still.
stupid, but we still do it. We're 98 episodes in, and we talk about
98.
talk
What are
about
we gonna do for
soccer.
our 100th episode? We gotta do something big.
We should probably do something big for it. But we talk
You
about
need a
soccer.
big guest.
Yeah, we do.
Brock. I'm serious. I'm serious. He's your first class plane buddy. Call him, say, come down here and let's talk.
How about the coach? You know Schmetzer.
Smets might actually be watching right
He
now.
might
Coach,
be
if you're
watching.
watching,
He's watching.
Yeah.
He's not doing anything else.
wow,
Right?
ouch.
I mean,
Okay.
he's sitting around. What would he be doing?
On a Monday, right?
So are you good on time?
I'm fine. Yeah.
We're an hour in.
I got one job. It's tomorrow night. 1 hour a week.
Well, we'll get you there. If we have to Uber you a ride there tomorrow night. Well, so
I'm here.
So let's keep going for a little bit.
Sure.
You want to keep going with
Let's
this?
keep going with this.
All right.
Yeah.
15
Let's keep
minutes?
going. Half hour. 15 to a half hour. And then we'll do a quick break and then we'll do our post game if you're okay with that.
That's whatever. You guys are the boss.
Well,
Wow. Don't give him a big head, please.
You're the
You
boss.
hit the record button, right?
okay, I did.
Okay, good.
Hugo's head's big enough.
All right, so I got a question.
All right.
What was the worst part of doing the book? Or is there a worst part? Well, I almost erased that question because I thought,
It was you had to obsess over it every day. It's funny because people say, oh, you left KJR. Oh, but you played a lot of golf. I didn't play any golf last year. All I did was work on the book. I worked harder on this than anything I ever did in my life. So it was hard, but it was enjoyable. Yeah, I mean, if that makes sense. I mean, it was something I enjoyed. If I had gotten into this, it's like, this just isn't what I thought it would be. I got fortunate in that I went to Tucson when they were training down there, and I spent 2 hours with Adrian and 2 hours with Ziggy and 2 hours with Chris Henderson. Arlo happened to be there, and I spent a couple hours with him. Then I left there and I flew out to Tampa, Florida, and met with Todd Lywicki for 3 days.
Nice.
And coming home from Tampa, I remember thinking, all right, and this is February. This is right when I'm talking. Like, all right, I got a book. I knew I had. I was like, I've got a book. And then I had to do all the player interviews, and I had to then go. It's kind of like being a cop. I had to re-interview everybody, and one of the things that's neat about this story is that the stories all matched up, memories and stuff. Because I would hear a story from, say, Adrian,
Right.
and I go, all right, and then I'd ask Ziggy, and he'd remember it the exact same way. And I'm like, that makes
You're like, fact check,
right,
fact
yeah,
check. Good.
yeah, exactly, and that made it fun. But I mean, in terms of hard, it was staying obsessed with it. I had a couple of incidents of writer's block. I mean, I didn't think that existed. I used to hear people talk about that and be like, that's crap.
Yeah.
Or I hear people
you're
talk
sitting
about,
around in your underwear eating Cheetos, going, I don't want to write today.
I don't have anything. I got nothing. I'd sit there and I would, and there were a dozen times probably where I'd spend all day. I'd get 1,500 words done, and I'd go, this is crap, and I would delete it one letter at a time. I'd sit there and watch it because I want to feel the pain.
Wow.
I wasted my whole day because it's a dumb story, and why did I go? You go down a rat hole, and all of a sudden you're like, crap, I'm done here. So there was that, and then I got something else I was gonna, and that's gonna something else about it, not difficult, but just was challenging. To it, but all in all, it was. The other thing I was going to say is the other thing I never bought into was the whole, I'm a writer, I have to write when I feel my muse, and I thought, well, that's crap. And I was actually pretty disciplined at writing every day, but I also spent a handful of nights at 2 a.m. I would wake up, I'd sit up and go, whoa, and my office was right next to the bed. And my wife would hear me in there.
You'd be good in sales then.
Yeah. It was so something would hit you. You go, hey, I got to write that down right now.
Yeah.
I mean, legend has it, and it's been told enough times, it's got to be true, right? But the riff for Satisfaction came to Keith Richards in the middle of the night, and he always, from the time he was a kid, kept a tape recorder under his bed. And he woke up and he pulled the tape recorder out and he kind of sang in his mind what he thought the riff would sound like. Turned it off, went back to sleep, woke up in the morning, and said, hey, what do I have here? And that was Satisfaction.
Well, he also keeps a tape recorder under his bed for a whole other reason, though.
He's Lee Red.
Apparently, my legend precedes me, sir.
Right.
But I have to go through with that. As you were writing the book, though, and talking about the book, did you find that there was a protagonist, antagonist type story that needed to be told?
Yeah, I wish there had been more. I kept my editor, Don Borst, who's a great friend of mine, and was a great editor.
Nice plug.
How did I miss that Don Borst was the editor?
Don's a passionate soccer guy. He's a
I really
passionate
missed
writer.
that.
It's the last line or second to last line in the acknowledgments. You need a new copy.
God.
He apparently doesn't read well.
Yeah, but the where what was your question? I got
Did you come up with any protagonists?
Yeah, right. So Don kept saying this. My wife kept going, you got to have some kind of conflict. The truth is, there's just not a lot.
Sure.
Probably the closest thing to conflict would be the relationship between Casey Keller and Freddie Lundberg the first year.
Oh, let's talk about that.
It was a big section here.
And that's in the book, and it's not as juicy as I would have liked it to be.
Well, as Freddie Lundberg is now coming out of retirement, going back into retirement this week.
Is he? I didn't see
He's
it.
trying to.
There's rumors about something with him in retirement.
He was the only guy, it was sad, man, he was the only guy who I reached out to who wanted editorial control. He said, I will do an interview with you, but only if I get to approve the final copy. And I said, well, you
You're like,
his agent and I talked, and I said, you can't. I said, you just, and like, I struck a bargain. I said, here's what I'll do. I will let you approve the quotes. The quotes you give me, I will transcribe, and you will tell me if that way. And I'll say, this is what you said. No, it's not enough. We have to have say.
Well, good. I'm glad you stuck to your guns.
So Freddie and we had to do this book the right way. You had to. So Freddie and Casey, the conflict wasn't huge, mainly because they're both professionals. They come at it from two different areas. Casey is just a no goofing around business guy, and that's how. And Freddie's kind of the superstar. I'll show up. Practice starts when I get there.
I'm taking pictures of my underwear.
I'll tie my laces when I'm in the mood to tie my boots up, and all that. There's a great quote from Brad Evans about that in the book. So there was a little bit of conflict there, and it went back to their England days, and it starts where everything starts. Two things: money, because Freddie got the big deal and Casey didn't, and Freddie scored on Casey a couple of times in Premier League games, and Casey, being the great competitor that he is pissed off about that to this very second. I'll guarantee it, and I love that about him. I was, truthfully, and maybe this is why Freddie was nervous, I wasn't going to slant the thing at all, but I mean, I've known Casey for 22 years. And really enjoyed how he came back here and what he did.
I think we all did. I think,
totally.
So, and I'll tell a personal story here. My wife was working at Starfire when the team started. So she taught the Scots program, the little kids. And so during the weekend, they would do the little kids, 5 and under, and they would go upstairs to the third floor at Starfire to have lunch and meetings, and then they would come through. And Freddie Lundberg would literally come down the stairs, go all the way out the building and around to avoid seeing anybody.
Very much a superstar attitude.
Where you would have Ozzy and even Freddie Montero would, at that point would still come down. Roger was still with the team, and so these guys, they would all come down, and the kids would all run up to the fence at the goal, and they'd go, they would all slap their hands, but I always thought it was very telling that every other player on the Sounders would take even just 2 minutes of their time walking from one area to another area to say hi, and Freddie Lundberg would take the time to walk away from 5-year-old kids.
He was, again, and I'll defend him a little bit. That's just a superstar, and that's how a lot of superstars in a lot of sports are like that, and they can get jaded over time. There might have been an incident in his past where he was trying to be the life of the party and he got burned on something for that. So you never know. But that was definitely. And here's the thing, Freddie also, he was real important to this team's success in that first year, especially in the last 10 years.
I had my scarf signed by him. I was super stoked, not knowing anything else.
And you can see it in the stadium now when you go to games, and you see that there's still a lot of number 10 Freddie Lundberg jerseys.
Absolutely.
Which is not a surprise to me. I kind of giggle about it now, and I laugh about it when I look at who number 10 is today. But I sit there and say, you know what? I mean, he was an instrumental part of that. That Casey Keller may have been the first signing, but Freddie was at the time. I still think he may be the biggest signing in Sounders.
And Freddie got the DP slot, the only one available, and Casey didn't, and that was a root of the. But again, to the point of how professional they both are, is that it never caused a problem. Despite the fact they were very rarely on the same page. Freddie didn't want to see kids, Casey didn't mind seeing kids. Freddie was making a lot of money, Casey wasn't making what he was worth. Freddie would get there whenever he got there, Casey was there an hour and a half early. And yet they didn't, and that's the sign of pros, and shows you there's different ways to approach it. They never let that bleed out. They never let that, because teams do, man. Teams have, the 94 Sonics should have won the World Championship, and they didn't, because Gary and Sean and Ricky Pierce were fighting. And they all three admit it now, and they all three say it was foot, but they were just having this huge They got into
Well, I
it.
think
I'm not
Speculator
getting the
did,
ball,
yeah.
and when that stuff happens, that tears teams.
It's tough.
apart.
It's tough.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that they were able to be professionals for as long as they were. They
Yeah,
stuck with it. That first year was really instrumental. And that really solidified Sounder support for everything that it is today. We wouldn't sell out 65,000 people in the stadium.
Yeah. How is this team right now if they come out like a typical expansion team? If they go 5-19 and whatever the math is, 11, and at no point are they ever in the playoff hunt. At no point are they ever in the
Montreal.
On the side here, yeah.
How would it be?
Portland.
How would it be?
Portland.
Ouch. It'd be terrible.
Portland, it hadn't affected them yet. They're still selling out every game.
No. It has.
The point
And-
being,
But
how would
Portland also did win the Western Conference last year. Let's give them a little credit.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but they did. But
All
going
right.
back to that first year was thank you for that.
That's a good question here.
What?
Have you ever been on a bus ride down to an away game?
Have you ever
Yes,
done
I have.
Okay.
Yes,
You
I
didn't bring it
have.
up. You didn't bring it up in here.
It happened last year.
Okay.
It happened last year. We
To
went
Portland?
Went to Portland, for
Okay.
the game, late regular season game.
Okay.
When they were in their free fall. When
Yeah.
Sounders like a
So
parachute
it wasn't the
without
playoff
parachute.
game, but it was.
No, I'm not
So
going
it
to the
wasn't
playoff
me
game.
that jinxed them in there.
No, I'm pretty sure it was still you.
Are you going to the 24th game?
Probably not.
Then we're gonna win in Portland.
That's
Wow,
why.
look at
That's
you.
what, so
Yeah.
I've not gone to an
Actually,
away
do we really want him to go to Salt Lake?
match where we won. We've tied or we lost.
Hey, what are you doing the 16th?
Not going to Salt Lake. What are you doing?
I'm going to Salt Lake. I was looking
We're driving there.
You got to go. Are you going? You going?
No, actually,
You
we
gotta-
were trying to fill his seat.
Oh, he's not going?
No,
he is.
Go to the Red Iguana. Go to the Red Iguana.
Red
You
Iguana.
want Mexican food? Go to the Red Iguana.
So
And don't go to the one.
I've
Go to
been-
the one out by the interstate. Go to the old original Red Iguana.
Okay.
I
Look,
have been heard.
an old NBA hack man. I know a good restaurant in every town.
Nice. I like that.
The Red Iguana. Yeah.
Red Iguana.
Red
Put that
Iguana.
put that on the list.
Red Iguana.
Don't
And you'll think I'm joking with
Ah,
you.
but
It's a
interstate.
dicey
No,
actually,
place.
actually,
No,
I've
that's
heard
a
that
few-
before.
there's
We
another
went
people
out to
spot.
we went out to well, not Provo.
One of our buddies.
Right outside of Ogden.
Ogden. We were in Ogden, and we went to like a
24-hour open. They're open.
Bar.
It was supposed to be the best Mexican place open after 2
Oh, no, no.
a.m.
Not all of us.
In defense of Utah for a minute, that's really slicing the pie pretty thin, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it kind of
You're lucky.
Yeah, so this guy came with us. We dropped him off at the hotel and got Mexican food. Some of us got food poisoning.
Nice.
It was bad.
Wow.
Yeah, it was
And
really
an all-night
bad.
Mexican restaurant in Ogden, Utah. You
Yeah.
got food poisoning. That just
Surprise!
blows me away.
I know.
could that
So
happen?
meanwhile, we're pre-funking at the bar, and it hits me like
Early, right before the
it
game.
hit me first.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we were in the bar. I order a beer, and I can't finish it. I'm
You had
just
to be
like.
terrified. You're like, oh.
So I didn't know what was wrong. I was laughing at him.
He was totally laughing at me. I was like, I'm dying, blah blah blah. And so I get it out before we go to the game, and then he's up in the stands for like 20 minutes,
yeah.
and it's like 117,000 degrees up there. And he comes down, and him and I were standing there. He's just dripping sweat, and he's like, where are the bathrooms? Where are the bathrooms? Where are the
Yeah,
bathrooms?
like, I need to-
He's like, we were like this way. He's like, I gotta go. And he comes back. He's like, and he just comes back, and he's like, his brown skin has turned green. He
It was
looks.
the most painful experience.
So him and I were like commiserating.
And
the
you're
entire-
going back.
I tried to say no, but somehow these guys talked me into it. I tried to say
He's like, I've got no money. It's $100.
and yet
There's more bourbon.
Yeah,
wow,
there you
it's
go.
a-
Gasman has even.
That'll
started-
help the sweat.
exactly.
Well, no, he sweats in an Arctic storm.
I do. Well, hey, look, you're looking at two
Yeah.
big sweaters over.
Oh.
I'm trying to figure why we're on the same side over here.
Cheers.
This bench
Cheers.
is screaming in pain right now.
No,
Cheers, guys.
it's fine. Cheers.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers. Thank you.
This is
Yeah.
fun. I'm telling you, this kind of stuff, and this is where when we're talking about soccer being covered in America, I find it kind of cool that this is part of how it's being covered.
Yeah.
And I almost think soccer fans wouldn't want it any other way. On the one hand, a soccer fan goes, why isn't the mainstream media covering us? On the other hand, it's like, hey, you know what? We got all these
We do it.
quirky, weird
Yeah.
little things that are
Oh,
going
yeah.
on. I mean, how many of these are there in town? There's 4 or 5 that I know of.
There's
Guys
4 or
who-
5, and we're friends with Dave Clark, who
Sure, yeah, Sounder
Sounder
Hart,
Hart,
yeah.
He's a friend of ours. He comes on the show
Where
quite a
is he?
bit.
He hangs out
He
here.
was supposed to be here, but I don't know something.
He's
happened.
got a new job. He's working down in Inner Bay.
Jobs.
I know he actually has a real
working
job.
in Inner Bay?
He is.
No. Show.
All right.
There's a bay there apparently.
Yeah, well, somewhere, yeah.
But he's got a job down there. He's working real hard. He's getting up at the ass crack of some days. He's like getting up at like 3. Yeah, exactly 3:30 in the morning.
Super Dave we call him Super Dave at KJR. I don't remember why, but he was a guy. I think he started at KJR. Got 97. He a huge soccer guy. He used to pepper me all the time. He knew the European leagues. I mean, before knowing those was cool. I mean, Dave was, and it was the early internet days, and then he was really working his ass off to know stuff and really was into the sport. And I interviewed him a lot for the book just because I knew he'd have good stories to tell.
Yeah.
And was a guy who, another guy doing these podcasts and doing the blogs. This team gets a tremendous amount of coverage. And that's why, like I said, I kind of bark back when fans say, "Oh, there's not enough." No, there's plenty, and just support what's out there, and it's going to continue to grow.
Oh, yeah. Exactly.
It's going. Matt Lentz,
we're still doing
Matt
it 2
Pence,
years in.
Somehow. I know.
the new guy from the Times, Matt Pence. He's a 25-year-old guy, and he says, "I grew up with soccer."
And the funny thing is he's the third one.
Yeah.
Right.
Jose was great.
Jose was great, and he went down to Phoenix, and
I like Joshua. I know some people had problems with
Josh Myers
because
done a
he
good job.
talked the real story.
Well, and here's the thing.
So-
At the end of the day, whether you like it or not, again, the fact that and we know newspapers are kind of in the same boat radio is, but hopefully they'll survive. I don't think history will look kind on us if we drive newspapers out of business.
No.
But the point being, here the Times has a dedicated guy to the Sounders. The News Tribune, Don Ruiz, dedicated guy to the Sounders. John Boyle's down there once a week from the Everett Herald getting stories.
Yep.
The bloggers, there's a ton of coverage out there, and it's good and it's fun. And again, it's to me, you can't do this on any kind of radio. You can't sit around a bar and talk and BS like this. It's fun.
That's why we started the show, because it was about
hanging out with our friends, having a drink, talking.
And we're not like breaking records. I mean, if you want to look at like the best podcast in the area, it's Nos Audietas. Well, okay.
Here's the thing about
we like ours.
Nos Audietas doesn't have my number, I guess, because I've had all those clowns on. I think maybe I have. I can't get arrested on that show. That's it. I'm done.
I hope you're watching tonight. Cheers.
I'm done. I'm only doing this show. I'm never doing Nos Audietas. They blew it. They had their chance, and they blew it. And this is the show I'm doing.
So we're gonna have you on once a month as a special guest, just to razz Nos Audietas.
We're gonna have to put a line in my house. I can't make this drive. It's too much.
No,
where are you
It's
at?
too much. Way north.
Way north. Yeah.
Way north.
Go north and follow the signs.
What to Vancouver?
To my place. No.
Well, there's Gasman's house, Vancouver, Blaine.
Yeah.
That's an old Calabro line. Calabro was all this once. He just moved in his new house. I said, "Hey, where's your new house?" He goes, "It's east, man." I go, "Well, where east?" He goes, just head east and follow the signs."
So can I make a controversial statement?
You can.
I may have been the only Sounders fan that actually enjoyed Kevin Calabro calling the Sounders.
Wow.
I was okay with him.
I was
Because I was a big Sonics guy, so I like.
I was not the NBA.
I wanted to give
I
him
used to serve him a roast compote at the restaurant.
Here's the problem I have with Kevin Calabro. When Kevin Calabro could not, and it was one of his first maybe 2 or 3 games, and he still hadn't figured out the end line from the touch line, and he was still having problem with the vernacular.
Yeah.
He did a good calling plays, but he wasn't
Sorry.
vernacular or calling plays.
Whatever. Go ahead.
So anyway,
Bonus.
No,
and again,
you after this.
I'm sorry.
you gotta get the book, Lee, and read through it, because Kevin talks about he knew he was in the deep water.
Hang on.
Right away.
I will tell my English teacher to put that on the summer reading list, because my list is a little full right now.
Is it
Yes.
full? It can't be with stuff.
We'll
as good
buy
as
it.
this.
We're gonna buy you.
No. It mostly
But here's the thing, Kevin
really
knew,
things.
and I like. I'm in the bag for Kevin. I would defend him no matter
No,
what.
no,
I knew he was out of his league right away. I remember thinking I ought to try for that, and then I thought, I don't know anything about soccer. I mean, that's going to be a big problem for the job. And Kevin was in a position where he needed a gig, and they reached out to him. Now we all agree the positives Kevin brought: the name, the reps, the
positive
cred,
attitude,
the energy.
and the way his energy.
Oh,
his,
yeah.
He,
All
no
of that.
matter, even if he was wrong, he still fought through it,
Yeah.
and he did a really, really. At the end of it, even though I wasn't happy at the beginning, his positive attitude and him learning the sport with the fans was I thought was really telling.
Well,
But I almost have to think Kevin is probably a huge soccer fan because of it.
He'd be wrong. Kevin,
I wanted to
think
never
that.
do it
I don't
again.
know that I'd say Kevin hates soccer, but he was pretty bruised by the experience. He got beat up pretty good.
I can imagine.
And he has no self-pity at all. He's, look,
No.
man, I was not able to deliver the way I wanted to.
And it says that in the book. I mean,
I will put that on my summary.
I mean, he's got a great quote. He's got a great quote where he gives the big Calabro booming laugh in the middle of it where he says, you know, it's not on my resume tape, nor will I ever do it again. Yeah. And he doesn't laugh bitterly. He laughs a laugh of self-awareness.
Sure, exactly.
He knew, and he. It's a shame he had to get beat up to do it, but he taught the Sounders ownership a real valuable lesson early on. They weren't 100%. I shouldn't say sure. They didn't realize how educated their fan base was already.
That's right.
Kevin really opened their eyes and said, "Hey, you know what? We can't treat our fans like kids."
And
we
we
see that when we pick up the feeds from outside
Sure,
Seattle.
yeah.
You know, even Portland has a really crappy broadcast team.
And a really crappy team and real crappy fan base. And just
you know,
really
having
crappy.
Arlo here and Arlo coming in after Kevin, you know, that was America's wide awakening to soccer announcing. And you know what? You look at Arlo is now the voice of English soccer in America.
Right. It's amazing the influence he's
And
had.
then you look at Ross, and I can tell you, Ross is actually one of the a huge part of what the show is about. I mean, we started the show after hanging out with Ross in a bar.
Yeah.
So
that stuns me. Ross in a bar.
I know.
Never.
With his fancy pants and everything.
We've had 3 great announcers here. Kevin, great in his own right, and a legend and an
Definitely Seattle
back
legend.
doing what he's doing, NBA now.
Yeah.
Arlo, and here's the thing: Arlo and Kevin, I think, only talked a couple of times,
Right.
And it's a shame because they're the same exact guys.
Yes.
They
They
are.
have the
Yes.
same.
They are.
And then Ross coming in, and Ross helping Arlo get into the business all these years ago, and then it circles back around the way it did. That was my favorite chapter of the book to write because I know all 3 of those guys, and I really love them. I mean, I know Kevin best of all, and then Ross second, Arlo, and I just did in terms of length of time. But they're just all 3. I always use this phrase. They're all 3 guys you'd be thrilled to have as a neighbor. They'd be there for you. They'd help you. They'd keep an eye on things. They'd
Unlike this guy.
right. Yeah. You don't wanna, he's up in first class.
I know.
They're delightful guys.
Privileged over there, just
and
privileged.
I sure hope that history
Pinky's out.
for Sounders fans includes those who want to hate Kevin. Hate him. You're an idiot if you do.
I thought it was rough.
Your criticism's fair, and he would agree with you. If he was sitting here, he would agree with you.
He had a rough. He
wasn't good at it. He wasn't good at it.
But his play-by-play skills are top notch.
But he brought a whole different group of people.
He
brought the
absolutely
game.
gave
You're
him
right.
Seattle
You know what?
sports
You're right.
to
You know
the
what?
team.
He brought the NFL and NBA fans, Seattle fans
To the
to the
game.
game.
He also,
we recognize that
remember,
guy.
he emceed every press conference.
Right.
That right there made people in my business kind of sit up and go, there's not, I knew who he was, but a media guy goes, there's not some guy named Casey Keller, but Kevin's there. This must be important. I should go. Because we all knew Kevin. We'd hung out with him. And he gave them a level of credibility that had they signed Arlo at first, which they wouldn't have because they kind of knew him, but if it was Arlo, it would have felt like, nah, this isn't right. Kevin is such an institution.
But it felt more of a home team.
I agree with that.
Good point, yeah.
That's a Seattle. Kevin, being a Seattle sports figure, was the right person for the first year.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree
It was.
with that.
But it was cool to
Right,
read
wrong,
your
or
story. I didn't know, never knew that until I read the book, that Arlo was there calling a mock game for the first
opening
game.
night.
I did
right
not know
next
that.
to Kevin.
Yeah.
Right next to
him.
And Kevin's not dumb. He already knows. He's in deep
this
water.
guy is- yeah,
And
exactly.
there's an English guy over here, and his play-by-play's flawless.
Yeah.
I mean, he says, "Why didn't they just hire him right then?"
Right.
Well, that's one of those things that, like I said, Kevin brought legitimacy to.
He did.
The
But your
local
criticism's
team.
fair.
Yeah.
He would agree with you. If he was sitting here, he would say you were absolutely
I-
right. I couldn't keep the vernacular. I have trouble with the vernacular.
The vernacular, and that was exactly it. It was
like I do.
as a fan of the sport for most of my life. The vernacular was tough, but I loved the passion so much.
Another great part to this, and we can move on. Arlo and I were talking about this in Arizona, and he had a great point. And this is probably the best way to end it. Arlo said, Gas, because if you told me I had to do an NBA game tomorrow night, I could do it. And I'd make it sound okay, but I wouldn't know what I was talking about. I don't know pro basketball. I don't know the terms. And that's the best way of putting it. A pro can do anything. I mean, you can get the
job done.
Get the job done. Now, can you do it to the level that is it at your at first at your demand? And Kevin couldn't. Arlo couldn't with the. I mean, I'd love to hear Arlo do an NBA game.
But Arlo can do it. Arlo has done NFL games.
He can do NFL off the top of his head. He's done Super Bowls.
Yeah, which is amazing to me because he's been able to do both sports pretty well. And I like how Ross, believe it or not, I don't know how much you guys know about Ross, but Ross has done equestrian in the Olympics. He's done boxing. He's done.
Ross has done the interview for BBC. I think it's for BBC at the Olympics for like 3 or 4 or 5 Olympics in a row where he does like the first interview that's available with athletes.
Yeah,
Ross is another one. Just solid
he is
pro.
Him and his damn fancy pants though. He keeps wearing those goddamn.
But I gotta say, my heart's broken a little bit right now.
Why?
Because this is a quote from Brian Schmetzer.
Schmetz!
I've got a lot of better things to do, but I love the Gasman and I love SonarFeed, so I'm listening.
I had no idea. I would have never criticized Schmetz if I'd known he was paying attention.
So he's not going to come on our show, it looks like.
Thanks, Gas.
You know what he's doing? He's breaking down the Bayern Munich film to help the MLS in the All-Star game because he's a solid guy.
No, he's helping Bayern Munich break down the MLS.
No, he wouldn't be. He might be. He does have that.
And then a good friend of the show,
No Chad Marshall.
Ray, ECS Nasty, said, have you heard Sonar? There's definitely much better things you could be doing right now than being on the show. Thanks, Ray. Thanks, Brian.
We love our fans. The fact is we have a great community that rallies around us. I mean, ECS is a huge component of us. Labara, who's what we support locally here.
Have you heard of Labara, by the way?
No.
Labara. Oh, let me tell you about Labara.
Hey, let the Mexican tell you about Labara for
First
the
of
next
all,
2 minutes.
Labara, we are a subgroup of ECS. So ECS is made up of a lot of subgroups, actually. So you have a military subgroup. You have the South End Finance group, people that live down in the South End Pierce County.
Right.
Well, Labara started in 2012, last year, and we're the first Latino subgroup of ECS.
Wow.
So we actually, you'll see us in section 121, which we have
121.
My daughter will text me and say, I got number 121 on like under thing.
test.
Yeah. She spelled Juan?
Yeah, she does.
Juan?
121.
No, well, that whole ECS thing, the subcultures that exist within it, that is one of the things that fascinates me the most about the story. And again, it's just this
That's
thing
your next book.
that happened. Well, you got to read this one because it's all in this book.
No, I'm not reading
a copy of the damn book. There's a huge chapter.
You know why I haven't read this book, right?
You can't read.
You know what? No.
I don't know. I'm just guessing. Lee and I are just friends. We just got to know each other.
We did. We're new. You know what?
That's right.
You know,
you got a lot of books in front. We'll read War and Peace, Moby Dick. You got a whole bunch of good books.
We don't have to go to
Debbie
the
Does
classics.
Dallas.
Well, that's not a book. Yeah,
wait a minute.
Illustration.
To him it is.
I have an English teacher. She is making sure that my summer reading list. I'm getting back up to speed with.
You have an English teacher. Is this?
Don't ask questions, Gas.
Does he really go to school every day?
He's reading 50 Shades
No, but
of Grey right
going back to that though.
No, I'm living 50 Shades of Grey.
Let's move back to that. It's like the community is amazing.
It's
Like,
huge.
do you remember the
No, he
match for
doesn't.
Dempsey? The hashtag.
It was
Dempsey?
yesterday.
She's
It was
the boy.
Yeah.
Well,
Why am I
things
the only-
like that? Hold on,
What
but
are you
things like
doing,
that,
guys?
Things like that.
It really is.
It's the book.
Like
What was it? What was it? Find Dempsey.
Dempsey
Dempsey
Watch.
Watch. Dempsey Watch.
You remember the hashtag? Dempsey Watch.
Keep calm and Dempsey Watch.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, all the things, and it's like our friends here that are here commenting, Juan Valdez, everybody, like, it's something that you don't see with other sports, in my opinion. I don't see it, and I've been a long time Seahawks fan, but you don't see things where, like, we've had Brad Evans tweet us that he didn't like our bus name for our.
So last year when we went to Salt Lake City, we called all the people that went on the
That take
road,
road trips.
They all named their vehicles.
Right.
Last year,
I'm aware of
our
that, yeah.
vehicle name was Brad Decisions. Brad Evans.
You just don't like Brad, do you?
You know what? I
You gotta
have.
read the book. You're gonna love it. There's a couple of great quotes.
There
Yeah,
is.
never mind. Yeah,
No,
you
no,
gotta-
No,
you gotta
to
English
be
teacher,
honest,
you gotta
to be
stack
honest,
the
I
books,
like
get it.
Brad now.
Tolstoy.
It took me
Thompson.
5-6 years to like him, but he's finally okay.
I don't think you do. You just an hour and a half ago said you didn't like him.
Well, you're right.
Now you're saying you like him.
I've come
He's
to grips.
pandering to your lowest.
You are pandering to me, aren't you?
No,
But
I'm not.
like when you have players, when you have players, when he tweeted us back and he's like, I like everything about it except can you guys work on the name?
You can work on a name, so this year it's going to be Brad Decisions.
No, but
Again?
No, we haven't decided the name yet.
Not yet. Not yet.
Not yet.
We won't decide till we leave.
Yeah.
So the question is, we're kind of at a natural break now.
Yep.
Are you okay with like a 5-minute break?
I'll do whatever you want.
And
I
then
got
wanna
no
keep,
place to be.
You want to keep talking?
I'm like
Or are you
Zach
done?
Mayo. I got nowhere else to go.
Perfect.
All right, so we're gonna go to our post game.
I can't wait for post.
Oh yeah.
The game has been awesome.
R-rated.
That's a little less structure.
Well, it's
Yeah,
no-
we take it up a notch here.
Yeah.
All right.
So we have
Now
They
let's not
start
watch it,
drinking.
I
That's
don't
when
know.
you really start.
I don't know. She might have
you
checked in earlier. There is no way she gets enough of this at home. She's about 15 minutes thinking, all right, good. Let's see if there's anything on TV.
So Brian Schmetzer went to bed.
Perfect. Is that right?
Yeah,
Schmetz
he's
is out?
I don't know. Yeah. He'll never be on the show.
He'll be
No, actually, if we keep lining up guests that are going to talk about him, eventually he's going to have to come
Probably.
back.
All right, so we're gonna go to post game. We're gonna Wonka out.
We're going to walk out.
All right.
and then we're gonna come back in a few minutes.
All right. Good.
So, boys and girls, we'll be right back.
Peace.
When does he get it?
He doesn't,
Why not?
because he broke the rules.
What rules? We didn't see any rules, did we, Charlie?
Wrong, sir, wrong. Wrong, sir, wrong. Wrong, sir, wrong. Wrong, sir, wrong. You lose a contract signed by him. You get washed. You get sterilized. You get nothing. Good day. You lose. Wrong, sir, wrong. I said wrong, sir, wrong. You get wrong, sir, wrong. I said wrong, sir, wrong. You lose. Black and white all there. Black and white all there. Black and white all there. Clear as crystal. You lose. Good day, nothing. You get Sunday, good day, nothing. You get Sunday, good day, nothing. You get Sunday, good day, nothing. You get nothing. You get nothing. You get nothing. Clear as crystal. You lose. Black and white all there. Black and white all there. Black and white all there. Clear as crystal. You lose. Fax mentis incendium gloria culpa memo bis punitor della copra etc. You're a swindler. Wrong, sir. Wrong. You're a cheat. Wrong, sir. Wrong. You're a swindler. Wrong, sir. Wrong. And you're a nut. Good day, nothing. You get 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 37 beat if I follow static copy. 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 You stole nothing. You what? You stole nothing. You what? You stole nothing. You what? Chocolate? Wrong. You lose. Black and white all there. Black and white all there. Black and white all there. Black and white all there.
Mr. Wonka?
I said.
Mr. Wonka? Mr. Wonka? Mr. Wonka? Mr. Wonka? Mr. Wonka?
I said. Good day.
When does he get it?
He doesn't,
Why not?
because he broke the rules.
What rules? We didn't see any rules, did we, Charlie?
Wrong, sir, wrong. Wrong, sir, wrong. Wrong, sir, wrong. Wrong, sir, wrong. You lose a contract signed by him. You get washed. You get sterilized. You get nothing. Good day. You lose. Wrong, sir, wrong. I said wrong, sir, wrong. You get wrong, sir, wrong. I said wrong, sir, wrong. You lose. Black and white all there. Incendium gloria cultum. Memo bis punitor della etc. You're a swindler. Wrong, sir. Wrong. You're a cheat. Wrong, sir. Wrong. You're a swindler. Wrong, sir. Wrong. And you're a nut. Good day. Good day. Now you lose. Get 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 37 beep. Full static copy. 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 You stole nothing. You what? You stole nothing. You what? You stole nothing. You what? Chocolate? Wrong. You lose. Black and white. Black and white. Oh there. Black and white. Black and white. Oh there. Black and white. Black and white. Oh there. Black and white. Black and white. Oh there.
Mr. Wonka?
I said. Mr. Wonka. I said.
Mr. Wonka?
I said. I said. I said.
Mr. Wonka? Mr. Wonka?
I said. I said.
Mr. Wonka?
I said. I said. I said. Good day.
When does he get it?
He doesn't.
Why not?
Because he broke the